Namaste. I am Dr. Robert Henry Schwenk, aka Dr. Bob for You, coming to you from Norwalk, Ohio, and Studio for You. All information you might like to have is at the end of this video. Comments and questions are always welcome. Please leave them after this video. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave your comments and questions in the section below. Today's topic is how to estimate your happiness. I was leading a class one day. The class was about learning to be happy. And there were 15 or 16 people besides myself in the class. One of them asked this question, Dr. Bob, how do I know if I'm happy or not? Several other members of the class nodded their heads in agreement. I realized they weren't asking for the esoteric definition of happiness, where you feel unshakably connected to the all-pervasive spirit. These class members wanted practical day-by-day ideas to help them know they were going down the best path. If a person has not yet experienced the unified soul of the universe in times of meditation, they are most anxious to know that they're doing something toward happiness. So I opened this question up to the class. I said, folks, what do you think happiness is like in your lives? Slow to anger was one suggestion. The person said that when she feels happy, little makes her angry. And even if she does get angry, she sees that it takes far more provocation for temper to flare when she's happy. Forgiving of self came the second suggestion. Taking a clue from the first speaker, the second elaborated. When one is unhappy, he said, one is harder on self than when one is feeling blissful. He followed then, in the same breath, forgiving of others. Once again, he amplified. When one is exultant inside, one has the luxury, so to speak, of forgiving others their foibles. By the same token, another group member rushed to add, slow to criticize marked her, she said, when she felt sunny inside. It seemed to me that she gave another personal example of what happiness feels like on the inside. Well, that led to another person to say he was reminded of Dr. Albert Schweitzer by this conversation. We asked what he meant. He said he was clued to remark on his reverence for all of life. There is no need to crush someone else when one is feeling peaceful. He said Dr. Schweitzer even disliked the killing of an insect. Another said she was far less worried about dust when she was upbeat. She began to explain before anyone could think to prompt her and ask a question what she meant. When she was feeling chipper, she said, she noticed the dust and housekeeping chores in her house far less. Instead, she was carrying gladly other activities that added to the lives of others. Another then said that he found it easier to overlook someone else's faults when he felt good inside. He said that some folks are annoying, some others have destructive flaws. When he is feeling happy, he deals better with such people. One of the women spoke up then. She said that she did not know how to phrase it exactly, but she felt as if she could live in her bliss and still function in the world. I suggested to her that the Eastern masters live in this manner. And then I said they were all talking about living from their bliss and beaming that bliss back into the world. Live from or in their bliss and use that place and feeling to help others in the corporal world. Something else, I don't remember who, that person suggested that beaming one's bliss into the world, that was a time of seeing, that was led to a way of seeing and accepting diversity, then making, at least in their own mind, a unity out of diversity. The final comment on this topic was that we be open to Buddhas along the way. When one is happy, you're more apt to recognize when an opportunity for enlightenment is offered. In your happy place, you are not so distracted by things and events that lead away from enlightenment. I began to conclude the class by saying we, each, are somewhere along a spectrum of bliss as we lean toward enlightenment. I said the idea we had generated that night, plural ideas, were not criteria by which a person measured his or her happiness, nor were these goals that we must conquer. Instead, they are ingredients stemming from happiness that one might experience. Have you experienced them? This has been Dr. Bob for you. Comments and questions are welcome. Please remember this from Sam Keen. The power, potential, promise of your being is integral to being becoming itself. Namaste.